On September 7th, Ukraine marked the Day of Military Intelligence, a moment set aside to celebrate and honor the achievements of its Defense Intelligence Unit, or DIU. To commemorate the occasion, the DIU released a documentary titled 33 Years on Guard, describing it as a story about people who have been at the forefront of the struggle for the freedom and independence of the Ukrainian state for more than 3 decades. Since Russia's full-scale invasion in February 2022, the DIU has been central to Ukraine's resistance. Its operations, spanning intelligence gathering, cyber warfare, and deep strikes, have defined some of Kyiv's most striking successes. Our activities have become more active and innovative, but no less mysterious, DIU Chief Kyrylo Budanov remarked on the agency's anniversary. Origins and evolution. For clarity, the DIU is officially known as the Main Directorate of Intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. In Ukrainian, this abbreviation appears as HUR, but because the first letter can be pronounced as either H or G, both HUR and GUR are used interchangeably. For English readers, however, DIU is the most accurate. The DIU was born in the early 1990s from the intelligence structures of the Soviet Armed Forces Kyiv, Odessa, and Carpathian military districts and the Soviet GRU. Initially, 2 agencies carried out military intelligence tasks. The Intelligence Directorate of the General Headquarters, founded February 1992, and the Strategic Military Intelligence Directorate, September 1992. But this duplication proved inefficient. By presidential decree on April 14, 1994, the two were merged into the DIU, which later gained the status of a special government authority in 2001. From its earliest days, the DIU proved effective. In 1995, it played a pivotal role in dismantling Moscow-backed attempts to seize control of Crimea under President of Crimea, Yuri Meshkov, helping restore the peninsula to Ukrainian sovereignty. That same year, DIU officer Mykola Verkholyad, serving with Ukrainian peacekeepers in Bosnia, helped negotiate the evacuation of more than 10,000 civilians from the Zhepa enclave, preventing another Srebrenica-style massacre. The DIU was also active in Iraq between 2002 and 2005 as part of international coalition peacekeeping forces. In 2003, its intelligence work helped prevent another Russian bid to seize Crimea when Moscow began constructing a dam toward Tuzla Island in the Kerch Strait. Years of decline and revival. The DIU's hardest years came between 2010 and 2014, during the pro-Russian presidency of Viktor Yanukovych, whose administration allegedly appointed Russian agents to senior defense posts, crippling Ukraine's intelligence network. When war erupted in the Donbass after the 2014 Maidan Revolution, the DIU had to rebuild almost from scratch, lacking reliable intelligence on Russian troop movements. As the agency put it, it had to restore combat capability at an insane pace. Despite the setbacks, the DIU distinguished itself throughout the ensuing conflict. During the fierce battle for Donetsk Airport, Colonel Maxim Shapoval's unit collected evidence of Russian aggression, operated behind enemy lines, and fought heroically to hold the airport. These defenders became known as the cyborgs for their extraordinary endurance. Shapoval was later killed in action in 2017 and posthumously awarded the Hero of Ukraine honor. Another DIU hero, Senior Lieutenant Yevhen Zelensky, died in 2014 after shielding his comrades from an explosion during a rescue mission. He, too, was posthumously named a Hero of Ukraine. By the time of Russia's full-scale invasion in 2022, the DIU had become one of Ukraine's most formidable and adaptable military institutions, a burr in the saddle of the Russian armed forces that has since evolved into a razor-edged threat. Symbols and spirit. The DIU's identity is perhaps best captured by its 2016 emblem, an owl plunging a sword into Russia, a deliberate counter to the GRU's bat symbol. The owl, predator of the bat, embodies intelligence prevailing over darkness. The Latin motto, Sapiens Dominabiter Astris, the wise will rule over the stars, is a pointed response to the GRU's only the stars are above us. The DIU website explains, it is the answer of thousands of Ukrainian intelligence officers who, for 8 years, have been defending Europe from the Russian bear. Moscow was predictably outraged, calling the new insignia a provocation. Expansion under Budanov. When Kyrylo Budanov assumed leadership in August 2020, the DIU began expanding rapidly. By early 2025, it commanded 9 reconnaissance battalions, a training center, and over 20 special operations units. Among these are some of Ukraine's most renowned formations, the Shaman and Nobody battalions, Kraken, Ghosts, Timur, and the Ronin Team Sniper Unit. Another standout is Group 13, the naval drone specialists whose precision strikes have sunk or disabled multiple Russian vessels, inflicting more than $500 million in damage. In many cultures, the number 13 is unlucky, said DIU spokesman Andrei Yusov. For Russian occupiers, it certainly is. Also under the DIU's umbrella is the International Legion, a volunteer force composed of experienced fighters from over 50 countries. Self-funded and highly mobile, the Legion has fought in Kyiv, Kharkiv, Kherson, Bakhmut, and beyond. Turning points in the invasion. The DIU was instrumental from the war's opening hours. On February 24, 2022, its fighters helped repel Russian paratroopers at Hostomel Airport, thwarting Moscow's plan to capture Kyiv within days. Later that year, DIU and security service SBU operatives played key roles in liberating Snake Island, a symbolic victory that inspired Ukrainians nationwide. As warfare grew more technological, DIU operations evolved. Drones, both aerial and naval, became their hallmark. In August 2023, Operation Titmouse saw DIU agents persuade a Russian Mi-8 helicopter pilot to defect, bringing valuable intelligence and aircraft parts. Around the same time, Group 13 began its devastating campaign against Russia's Black Sea Fleet, striking ships like the Ivanovets, Cesar Kunikov, and Sergei Kotov. By late 2024, Group 13's Magura drones achieved unprecedented feats, destroying a Russian Mi-8 helicopter in Crimea, the first such kill by a naval drone, and in May 2025, downing 2 Russian Su-30 fighter jets over the Black Sea using air-to-air missiles. These were historic firsts in modern warfare. Meanwhile, other DIU units inflicted steady damage. In August 2025, the Timur unit halted a Russian advance in Sumy with deep raids and drone-supported assaults that wiped out the equivalent of 8 enemy companies. Soon after, the Ghost unit struck a Buyan M missile corvette in the Sea of Azov, disabling it. Within days, the DIU set another record, launching a drone strike from over 217 miles away to hit another Buyan M, the longest-range FPV drone strike ever recorded. Recent DIU raids have focused on Russian radar and air defense networks in Crimea, destroying S-400 systems, GLONASS domes, and Nebo-M radars, opening blind corridors in Russian defenses. On September 5th, the agency released footage of one such operation that obliterated multiple Russian assets in a single night. The Russians, by their own admission, remain uncertain how Ukraine's intelligence service conducts these operations. Analysts speculate that DIU may now employ naval drone motherships, unmanned sea vessels capable of transporting and launching smaller attack drones near enemy shores, all remotely controlled from Ukraine. Beyond Ukraine's borders. The DIU's reach extends well beyond the battlefield. One of its most daring foreign missions took place in Afghanistan during the chaotic Western evacuation in 2021. Ukrainian officers risked their lives to extract stranded nationals and foreign citizens, ultimately saving 83 people. Days later, they returned to rescue 29 more Afghans working for Western nations after other evacuation efforts had failed. In February 2024, the DIU released footage of its Timur group interrogating captured Wagner mercenaries in Sudan, following drone strikes on Russian and allied militant positions there. These operations aligned with Budanov's 2023 pledge to destroy Russian war criminals anywhere in the world. The agency's global reach, however, has sparked controversy. In August 2024, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, nations aligned with Moscow, accused Ukraine at the UN of supporting terrorism after Tuareg rebels attacked Malian forces reportedly aided by DIU intelligence. Mali and Niger subsequently severed diplomatic ties with Kyiv. Early in 2025, Iran's Tasnim news agency claimed that 3 DIU officers had been arrested while plotting to sabotage a drone factory in Isfahan, the plant that produces Shahed 136 drones used by Russia. The men were reportedly sentenced to death, though their execution has not been confirmed. Given the devastation these drones have caused in Ukraine, such a mission, if true, would fit the DIU's strategy of striking threats at their source. Shadow war and moral dilemmas. The DIU's name has also surfaced in connection with high-profile assassinations inside Russia. Among them, Lieutenant General Igor Kyrylo, head of Russia's nuclear and biological defense forces, who died in a car bombing in Moscow in December 2024, and other military specialists linked to missile development. Western analysts believe these were joint DIU-SBU operations targeting figures directly involved in the invasion. Such missions have sparked ethical debate. Some view them as legitimate acts of wartime justice, others see them as a dangerous escalation of clandestine warfare. Yet, as history shows, Ukraine's intelligence service has long thrived in the shadows, turning precision, innovation, and audacity into tools of national survival, an agency forged in resistance. 3 decades after its founding, the DIU stands transformed, from a modest intelligence department into a highly modernized, globally networked agency that blends espionage, cyber warfare, and special operations into a single agile force. As Budanov summed up, we expose the Kremlin's plans, find the weak points of the invaders, weaken their capabilities, and undermine their military and economic potential. Enterprises, ships, and airfields of the Russian Federation shudder from our attacks. For Ukraine, the DIU has become not just an intelligence service but a symbol of resilience, an organization that has mastered the art of fighting smarter, not just harder, in a war where survival depends on both.